What if I told you the future of electric cars, smartphones and global energy and even the next world superpower will be decided under African soil? Not in Silicon Valley, not in Beijing, not in Brussels. Right now, a silent war is unfolding. A war without bombs or soldiers. A war fought with contracts, cooperations, political influence, and a quiet alliances. And at the center of this new global scramble, two metals worth over $130 billion in the coming decade, lithium and cobalt. The beating heart of the world's clean energy revolution. This is the new gold rush, and Africa is the new frontier. The only question is, will Africans benefit, or will history repeat itself? Let's get something straight. Lithium and cobalt are not ordinary minerals. They are the new oil. Your phone battery, lithium. Your electric car, lithium. Solar farms, renewable grids, AI data centers, lithium. And cobalt, that's the metal that stabilizes batteries so they don't overheat or explode. No cobalt, no EVs. No EVs, no green revolution. As the world races to abandon fossil fuels, these two metals are now the keys to global power, and Africa holds the vault. The Democratic Republic of Congo DRC holds 70% of the world's cobalt, has some of the highest grade deposits on earth, supplies companies like Tesla, Apple, Samsung, BYD, and Volkswagen. Zimbabwe, Namibia, and Mali are emerging as major lithium powerhouses. Zimbabwe alone is estimated to hold Africa's largest lithium reserves. South Africa and Ghana rapidly entering the battery materials race. Altogether, Africa is sitting on a $130 billion treasure, and that's a conservative estimate. But here's the catch. Africa doesn't control the value, others do. History is repeating itself, but this time, the players are different. China controls over 70% of Africa's lithium and cobalt processing. They build the mines, they own the refineries, and dominate the supply chains. The United States and Europe are playing a catch-up. Suddenly, Washington and Brussels are talking about strategic partnerships and critical mineral cooperation. Middle Eastern nations, especially UAE and Saudi Arabia, are entering with massive capital, looking for influence in the green energy future. Everyone wants a stake. Everyone. Except, ironically, Africans themselves. In many mining communities, roads are still dusty and broken. Schools are still struggling. Water is polluted. Children still work in artisanal mines. Governments sign 20 to 30-year deals with foreign firms, and they get crumbs. Yes, they get crumbs. Africa digs the minerals. Other continents build the wealth. The pattern feels painfully familiar. But something is changing. Several African countries are waking up. Zimbabwe banned raw lithium exports. If you want Zimbabwe lithium, you must build factories inside Zimbabwe. DRC renegotiated mining deals to increase revenue. President Tshisekedi warned that the era of exploitation must end. Namibia restricted critical mineral exports, forcing local beneficiation. Rwanda and Zambia are pushing for an African battery manufacturing corridor. The message is clear. We are done exporting wealth. If you want our minerals, you help us build industries, not just dig holes. These African reforms are creating shockwaves. Western electric vehicle manufacturers fear shortages. Asian battery giants fear higher prices. Investors fear Africa gaining negotiation power. Billion-dollar deals are being rewritten overnight because if Africa succeeds in controlling its minerals, the entire global energy transition will depend on African decisions, and that terrifies many nations. Three possible futures are emerging. Future 1. The old story repeats. Foreign companies get the minerals, Africa gets environmental damage, small royalties, and broken promises. Future 2. Africa gains partial power. Countries add local processing, negotiate better deals, and build some industries, but still export most of the value. Better, but not transformational. Future 3. Africa becomes a battery-powered superhouse. This is the dream scenario. African-owned battery factories, Africa electronic vehicle supply chains, African wealth staying in Africa. Millions of high-paying jobs, a real seat at the global economic table. This is what could turn the continent from a resource supplier into an energy superpower. But it requires something Africa has rarely had in past resource booms. It requires unity, vision, and political courage. Africa is holding the most important minerals of the 21st century. The world cannot go green without Africa. But will Africa keep exporting opportunities? Or will it finally export finished products? Will Africa lead the future or fuel someone else's future? The battle is already underway. The world is watching, and history is waiting for Africa's answer. Africa's wealth has been taken for centuries, but this time, the continent holds the power to change its destiny. The question is no longer, does Africa have the resources? Rather, the question is, does Africa have the resolve? If you believe Africa deserves more than raw material crumbs, if you believe that the next economic revolution should rise from African soil, then don't just watch the story unfold. Be part of it. Subscribe to Kann Media Group. Join the conversation. Share this video. Because the world is racing for Africa's minerals, but only Africans can decide Africa's future.